Hey Jigsaw, welcome back to Wise Words.
Yeah, this is what, the fourth time?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
How you been?
Not bad. It's been a while.
All right, so I do got a few questions here. Let's start off with as tonight is the June 11th. I've heard a lot of things talked about. Have you heard of anything called a rites of destruction?
Yeah, so this is a very, very important night in what people call well, the broad term is the New Age movement. And this rites of destruction is being put on by a well, it's a lot of things. It's an organization, it's a arcane school or cult, and it publishes a bunch of books. It's called Lucis Trust. Is just putting on this ritual, and I did not hear about it till last night because it is making news, but it's not making any type of major news. So like, I guess if you follow the right stuff, you hear it. But anyways, it's a 25-hour long ritual led by Lucis Trust, and it's this very weird. They call it a prayer. I'm not referring to it as a prayer. It's an invocation because this is also called World Invocation Day. That's the public name for this rites of destruction. And they believe in these things called ascended masters. This Lucis Trust people do.
So what exactly are these ascended masters?
So first, I guess I'll probably explain Lucis Trust because a lot of people don't seem to be aware of this organization, and it's a horrible organization. I personally have a lot against them because it's run by a lot of deceit, and I don't like that. So they started as they see this woman named Alice Bailey. She was a disciple of a woman I believe I've talked about on here before, named Helena Blavatsky, because she inspired a lot of these future occultists and different false religions. So she had a disciple named Alice Bailey, and Alice Bailey, she started Lucis Trust, but it was originally called Lucifer or Lucifer's Trust, a branch off of the Theosophical Society. But a few years later, it got changed to Lucis Trust, obviously because when you see the word Lucifer, how many people is going to pick up your books? I damn sure wouldn't. So anyway, so the big doctrine around Lucis Trust, Theosophy, and other New Age groups is these things called ascended masters, and nobody really knows exactly what they are. Is there enough evidence to prove that there is something to it? Yes, there definitely is. I'll have you edit them on the screen later to prove to the people. But there are these beings that look like people, but they also look very abnormal and just otherworldly, like they're from here, but they're not. They might be some weird type of demon. They might be some type of fallen angel, or they could be some type of human that somehow expanded their life, because they all have weird names. Like there's Dezwa, there's the Mashreya, there's Saint Germain, and that's one of the odd ones because there was a legend about him living forever back in the 1400s. Or there's this Ashtar command, and I find it very ironic that in the book of Judges in the Bible, it talks about a demon named Ashtaroth, and I find that a little bit too coincidental. But to get back to the point, sorry if I got a little bit off track. So they claim that they're higher spiritual beings that are going to guide the world into peace with the one world religion. and like if you go on their site, which I suggest that people don't, because it's very very deceitful if you don't know what to look for. They push all this love, peace, compassion, and what you really see is light, 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 light. But what a lot of people don't realize, even if they're Christian, or some people that study their Bible don't realize this, is that a lot of the times when the Bible is talking about light, it's actually referring to Lucifer, because Lucifer means light bearer. So
I have heard that a lot. Another thing that has kind of brought to my attention is something similar to Lucifer. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but I've heard it. His name is actual Samael.
Samael, okay. Samael is the people that mostly focus on these demons are people that use something in the Kabbalah known as the Tree of Death. Now, the Kabbalah is false in general. I hope that no one watching this is into Kabbalism. If they are, you can message me and I can talk to you all about it. But the Tree of Death is the absolute worst form of it. And on one of the sephirots, meaning spheres of the Tree of Death, all focuses on Samael. Now, Samael is not talked about in the basic King James Bible. You have to have the Book of Enoch, which I believe I spoke about twice on past presentations. One verse implies that Samael was a demon that took the human form of Satan in the Old Testament. I believe that he's also labeled as the chief of tempters. So Samael is definitely a very high-powered demon. The name in itself, it means poison of God. So it's for people that's actually trying to conjure this thing up in this 25-hour ritual, because they're not only trying to open a portal for the ascended masters to come through, because they're claiming that they're in the Himalayas in this place called Shambhala. I don't necessarily buy that, but they're not only trying to open the portal for them, and they're also trying to open the portal for this Samael figure to come out.
Now, Samael, is that Lucifer?
So it's a complex topic. Because of my belief system, which is completely rooted in the Bible and the secret books of the Bible, that you can't get in most basic Bibles. And they don't tell you that he's Lucifer, but he's very, very close to Lucifer, as in he is a demon that Lucifer uses when he wants like a human personification, when he wants a specific body to do something. That's what it implies. But now there's something called the Tanakh, which is Jewish mysticism that is used in sometimes, and it implies that Samael is Satan. But it also contradicts itself, because it talks about Samael being Esau's guardian angel in the book of Genesis. But I would dismiss that because there's so many things disproving the Tanakh. But to answer the question, he's not Satan, but it's a very dangerous demon that's very, very close to Lucifer.
I got you. And another thing, back to the little topic of the rite of destruction, as of tonight is going to be June 11th, as they're doing this 25-hour ritual. 25,
yep.
Could this maybe explain why the moon looks like a strawberry?
Okay, so yeah, that's actually, I'm glad you asked that, because that's actually connected to why they picked this specific date of June 11th, because now in astrology and the occult, which I hope no one is into, unless if it's for research purposes to help other people, and when you correspond it with black magic, Gemini is highly associated with the energy of Samael, because all these astrologies, these zodiac signs, that like people think they're reading the horoscope and doing something innocent, but they all represent different demons. They all represent the energies, and Gemini represents the energy of Samael. So I believe they picked this date. They picked this date years and years in advance, and I believe because they had inside knowledge about this full starry moon corresponding with Gemini.
So just to kind of also backtrack a little bit, when we talked about the Ascended Masters, I believe they said that they tried to summon them in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and I believe the last one was 2012.
Right. So this is not. I don't want this to be like some panic video, because we shouldn't fear anything on this earth. Just what happens on the life after. This is for awareness, and like I said, it's my personal anger against this Lucis Trust organization. For the amount of deceit. I'll edit the video later and show you the amount of deceit that these people are pushing. So what was the question again? Sorry.
So it really wasn't much of a question. It was just kind of saying that they've been summoned in the past.
Oh yeah.
Apparently.
Sorry. Yeah. So in the 80s, I believe his name was Benjamin Kremp. He was probably millions of dollars, or maybe a couple $100,000 back then. In the 80s, he put in close to every newspaper in the United States that the Christ has returned. And he had a specific date and time that the Christ, not the real Christ, this ascended master that they call Master Jesus, along with this Days Wakul, Sonata, all those other ones would appear, and obviously, did it happen?
No. Like you said,
right, because they claimed that he would appear to everybody, and obviously that didn't happen. And they claimed it would happen in the 90s, and I believe the last time was 2012, because you remember those rumors about it being the end of the world because of my calendar and stuff. So this particular religion never believed that was going to be the end of the world. They thought that it was going to be the beginning of the new world where the ascended masters would come and guide us. Now, the only thing that makes tonight different is because Alice Bailey wrote in one of her books that she trans-channeled from one of these ascended masters, which, if people don't know what that is, it's when you open yourself up to possession, and you have a spirit do something called automatic writing, to where under possession you write these books, and she wrote 24 books under the possession of one of these ascended masters, and they claimed that if the world was ready, then they would appear to humans in 2025, and I'm assuming that they knew something we didn't about this moon in Gemini. That's probably why they said this date 100 years ago. Now, I'm not saying that she's right, because we're yet to see it, because right now it's about a little over an hour before midnight, and these, as far as I know, none of these things have appeared yet. The ritual ends in about 18 hours, something like that, and I pray they don't appear, and I don't believe that they will, but yes, this is about the 4th or 5th time they've publicly said that they would appear.
Now, not to kind of cause any fear, but what would happen if they were to appear? Would that spark maybe the start of Revelation, the end times?
So it depends on if the so-called Maitreya is what they claim that is. Now, What now? The exoteric version of what Lucis Trust will tell you is that these ascended masters are not here to start any type of new world order or any type of what could lead to the apocalypse or anything or revelation. They will tell you that they're good people that lived a life of wisdom, and they, through a higher spiritual divinity, they obtain immortality, and from time to time they come back on the earth to show the people the right way to live. That's what they will tell you. But if you can get either inside information or learn enough about these people, once you get far enough into Lucis Trust or Theosophy, they believe in a being called the Maitreya, which is basically their new Christ, the Antichrist, or it could also be this so-called Master Jesus, because I find it very disturbing that this so-called Master Jesus is possessing people, and many people have wrote these books claim to be under channeling of that.
And just for the viewers, just to clarify, this Master Jesus is a fraud.
Right. I'll post some pictures of it too. Now, they do look kind of similar to the pictures you see in churches, which is complete blasphemy. Obviously, we don't know what Jesus looks like, but this picture of these beings, and specifically Master Jesus, looks very creepy. It does not look like a savior, and it's absolutely not a savior. But to go back to your last question, if this thing was the Antichrist, and they've had all this inside knowledge for years, then yes, it would be starting the end times. But I don't want to fear more people, because I don't believe that either. But there should be awareness put out, and I also encourage everybody to look into how corrupt this Lucis Trust organization is, because you hear about all these other cults like Freemasonry, Rosicrucianism, Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, the OTO, but not many people talk about this Lucis Trust. So that's one of the reasons that I wanted to focus on that topic right now.
So, as a viewer, anybody who watches this, or even just people who turn it on just to listen, what would you recommend us do on tonight of this so-called rite of destruction?
I would ask that they pray to Yahweh, the true name of God, because his name's not God, it's Yahweh, and pray to the personified version when he came down as his son, Yeshua, and pray against these terrible things, because he can answer our prayers and sains the so-called fate that these people have created. The demonic realm does hold power, but obviously the Creator holds a tremendous amount more. And also, after people pray about this, I encourage them to do their own research, because to an outsider, I understand that this whole idea of these ascended masters sounds completely insane, because this is a very odd group. They're also very linked to these UFO cults. Their branches off of them. But most people believe in UFOs these days. So if they believe in UFOs, there's plenty of evidence that there is something to these ascended masters. No one knows exactly what they are, but it is a force that people should know about. And I'll be editing this to provide proof of my claims, but as always, I recommend that everybody does their own research as well.
All right. Just to end it off here, I do think that we all should pray and hope that we see 2 days from now. You never know what could happen.
Yeah. 6 p.m. on the 12th is when this thing ends. So if we see nothing on the news or online tomorrow by around 6:30, I guess we can thank God that the ritual did not work, but that doesn't mean we can't keep our guard down, because one of these other secret societies, these arcane schools, there's always gonna be another one that rises up and tries something again. And there's also the Satanic holiday Lithia coming up between the 20th and the 23rd, which is ritualistic sex magic, and people should be aware of all the dark energies and all the negative sexual temptations that's going to bring into the world as well.
All right. Well, I think for the most part we're going to end it here, but I do want to say, in the name of Ruach Kadesh, watch over us, protect us from any evil that roams this earth, any evil that is coming to this earth, and allow us to fulfill our lives here on this earth and to reap and seek for salvation. In the name of Yahweh, of Yeshua HaMashiach, amen.